What's up guys, Ruppy here bringing you my Week 2 battle for the SAPL as my 1-0 Columbus Swoo seek to jump up to a 2-0 start against the Los Angeles Aggrons coached by Liam. Even though his in-game name and icon there are very much not what you would think, but I'm not going to judge. I mean, you can see guys play as girls all the time, and girls play as guys, vice versa. I mean, it's common in games. Anyway, let's get off that topic. So, my team is off to the left, as per usual. You saw the team builder from the previous day, as of when I'm uploading these anyway. His team is off to the right, and I was actually a tiny bit surprised at what he brought. Salamence I kind of expected, because he would want to set up Dragon Dances and try to overtake me as far as my usual speed demons are concerned. I was afraid the Rhydon would come. I hoped it wouldn't, but he ended up bringing it anyway. Which was... that Rhydon is basically the biggest obstacle to my Zapdos running through his team, because I cannot one-shot that thing with a Hidden Power Ice, even if I were able to get rid of the Eviolite. So wearing that thing down became a bit of a priority for me. I expected the Thundurus because of the problems it caused. Manaphy is no surprise because it's Manaphy. It's my biggest headache. Whimsicott, I wasn't too surprised on. I figured he would probably bring it just for Prankster, just to try to use that to bypass my speed advantage and try to cripple some of my Mons. I was a bit surprised he brought the Serena, simply because of the fact that I figured he would expect me to bring Mega Beedrill and leave that thing behind, because Mega Beedrill just destroys that thing. I figured if he brought any of his spinners, it would be Hitmontop. But, lo and behold, that was not the case. I did not bring any Hazard Setters this time around. I did not think they were necessary, honestly, even though he does have things that are quite weak to rocks, such as the Thundurus and the Salamence. But I really didn't feel like rocks were a necessity for this game. I felt my bigger priority was being able to tank the hits I needed to get myself in a position where I can wear his team down or get Zapdos in to kind of run through just about everything. Granted, that's a lot easier said than done when he's got a Rhydon sitting there, but well, let's get into the battle and we'll see how exactly this played out. So, Liam's gonna go ahead and send a challenge my way, as is the usual with this game and how it goes. I decided to lead off with Rotom-Wash because I figure I can Volt Switch out on just about everything. I could Hydro Pump the Rhydon if he led with that. He ends up leading with Salamence, which I'm perfectly fine with because I know he's probably gonna want... he tries to Dragon Dance right out of the gate. I can simply Will-O-Wisp this thing, cripple it, and just be done with it. Except I missed the Will-O-Wisp. So, yeah, bad luck right out of the gate. He's gonna hit me really hard with a Dragon Claw, which sucks. I knew I could take the hit, so I stayed in, and I proceed to Will-O-Wisp again. This time I hit it, thankfully. So, Salamence is not as big of an issue as it could have been. He also reveals the Life Orb, so my fears of a Lumberry Salamence are out the window. Same with the Yachi Berry, as a matter of fact. I'm going to go ahead and get Laundry Day out of here now because I do not want to have to contend with any further hits from this thing. I just go straight into Quartz knowing that I'm Scarfed. He will still outpace me if he's running at least Jolly. But I don't mind because the Intimidate plus the Burn means that this Rock Slide he throws my way is not doing as much as it could have. It still did a decent chunk, which bothered me a bit. But it could have been a whole lot worse, to be perfectly honest. So I figure he's going to switch at this point, seeing the damage output he's got. He doesn't want to take any sort of hit from me. So I go ahead and go for a knockoff to try to remove an item from whatever he sends in, which turns out to be the Whimsicott. Which, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it works out for me because this thing's leftovers are gone. And I'm going to go ahead and get Quartz out of here because I'm locked in a knockoff. I'm not going to be able to do a lot to this thing anymore. So I go ahead and send in Mystic here. I was a bit iffy on that because I needed Mystic to deal with the... well, I wanted to have Mystic on hand to deal with the Manaphy, but this was probably the best thing I had that could probably eat a Moonblast if he went for it, which he did. He got the special attack drop, which is very unfortunate, and then he follows up with a Leech Seed, which is going to be a bit of a problem. I'm going to go ahead and Moonblast, I want to try to wear this thing down, It does a good amount of damage despite the fact that I have -1 special attack, which is perfectly fine for me in all honesty. Because I'm not running any speed investment though, he's going to outspeed me, so he's going to be able to hit me with a Moonblast, but with my Assault Vest, I'm going to be able to take that decently well, as we go ahead and trade Moonblast here, except mine is going to be able to do enough to get this Whimsicott out of here. So there's a kill on the board for Gardevoir for the season, and his Prankster Nightmare is gone. But this gives him a chance to send in Manaphy. He sets up a substitute here as I go ahead and go straight for the Thunderbolt. I did not want him to get behind a sub. This reveals to me that he actually did not have the coverage. I don't think that crit would have mattered, all things considered, because Manaphy is weak to T-Bolt. I know I'm at -1 special attack, but I do not want this Manaphy getting behind a sub, because the last thing I need is a sub Tail Glow set running right through me. This does reveal he doesn't have an... I'm assuming he didn't have Energy Ball at this point, which meant if my Rotom-Wash is in a bit of a better position, I probably could have handled this thing a little better. It's not to be, however. I'm going to go for the T-Bolt here. That -1 special attack drop is really going to come back to bite me because I don't do as much damage as I would have liked. So I knock this thing down to roughly about half, and Leftovers and Leech Seed are going to pretty much put a dent in that even, as he gets up his Tail Glow. And I really have no choice here. I have to let Mystic go, as much as I really don't want to, because I can't take a Scald from this range, even with the Assault Vest. And now I'm in a very bad spot, because his Manaphy is a +3, and I don't have anything that could immediately kill this thing. Because I'm not running a defensive Zapdos of any kind, if he has Ice Beam, which he actually does, I will tell you guys that right now. He actually reveals it on this turn. It would have killed Zapdos. I go ahead and send in Quartz and immediately U-turn out because I want to try to chip this thing down so to a point where I could potentially maybe kill it with an Earthquake, because Landorus is the only way I'm getting rid of this thing right now. I end up sacking off Laundry Day. He does reveal the Ice Beam here, which is going to pick it off. And now I'm in a really bad spot, a very bad spot, because after Leftovers, I could U-turn out to be able to chip this thing down to a point where I know Earthquake could kill, but I had to take the risk here. I needed to try to kill this thing with an Earthquake right here and now. It was a roll on whether or not it killed. I had to take the gamble. So I go for the Earthquake, and it's not enough to kill, and... Alright, I am stopping this video here briefly because we need to talk about this. And this is probably the best way I'm going to do this because, I mean, I'm pausing the battle where we are right now because this is the play that basically decided this game right here. I can kind of understand where his logic was coming from. He told me after the game, or actually I think during the game, he went for the Tail Glow on this turn because he was afraid that I was running especially a defensive Zapdos specifically for his Manaphy, which turned out to not be the case. If you guys saw my team builder, you know I'm actually running more of a 5th gen offensive set because 1 agility and Zapdos would have cleaned house on most of his team. But he went for the extra Tail Glow just to be sure because he thought I was going to U-turn out, go into Zapdos, and then try to fry that thing with a Thunderbolt, believing I could take an Ice Beam. Which, I honestly don't know if especially defensive Zapdos would have been able to take an Ice Bolt, an Ice Beam from that thing while it was at +3. Maybe if I went a triple Assault Vest route and had Zapdos going AV as well, there might have been a chance. But this baffled me at first until he kind of explained his reasoning to me. This was a fairly bad overprediction on his part, and even he admits to it, because really, I felt I had no other I mean, I could have U-turned out and sacked something else off, but I didn't feel that was necessarily the right play. Earthquake was about a 50-50 roll from this point, according to the calcs, depending on how much invested he was in defensively. And I simply just didn't get the roll I needed to be able to kill this thing. But I had to take the gamble, and I had to go for the roll because I needed to get rid of this Manaphy if I was to have any hope of winning this game from this point. And this over-prediction on his part does kind of ruin things for him, because you guys will see shortly afterwards that I'm free to just go for another Earthquake. This Manaphy is pretty much toast at this point. And while he does still have a chance of recovering with what he's got left, this basically was kind of a momentum destroyer for him. And I apologize, and I really don't feel happy that things kind of turned out this way, but sometimes that's just the way things work in Pokemon, I guess, is the best way I can put this. So, let's just get back to the battle, shall we? Alright, so after that little pause monologue there I just gave, his overprediction is going to end up pretty much costing him gravely here. That overprediction is going to lead to his Manaphy dying, and that crisis averted, though not in a way I would have liked, if I can be perfectly honest. Getting back on track, he goes into Salamence here, and I'm going to go ahead and get the heck out, because I can't touch this thing with Earthquake. I go straight into Archangel as he Dragon Dances, knowing that I'm pretty much free to be able to do anything to him because the burn is going to nullify the Dragon Dance to some degree. I could have agility'd here, but I figured he was going to go for a second D-Dance to try to get enough power despite the burn to be able to have Rock Slide really do some damage to Zapdos. So I don't want to play any games at this point. I go straight for the Hidden Power Ice, and I get this Salamence out of here in a heartbeat. So, fare thee well, Salamence. You were not given a chance to be a pain in this game, and thank God for that. But he's going to go into Rhydon here, and I am not going to play around with this thing, because I know I really can't touch it. So I'm going to go ahead and get Zapdos out of here. I go straight into Monokuma, as he ends up going for the Toxic, which I really don't mind, because that's going to pop Monokuma's Lumberry. The Toxic is not going to be doing any damage to me just yet. And I am free to start maybe trying to cause some problems back for him. So I go for the knockoff because I want to get rid of this thing's Eviolite. I had a feeling he'd stay in, knowing he could take any hit from me. He sets up the rocks to try to wear down Zapdos and Landorus-Therian when they come back in. But I don't necessarily mind, because I can go for a Drain Punch right here and now. Really dent this Rhydon, which is super nice, as he goes ahead and Toxics me yet again. This time the Toxic's going to stay put, but Monokuma's not really going to mind it because, I mean, he's Monokuma. He's just here to cause all sorts of problems. So he's going to go ahead and switch. I go straight up for the Ice Beam, or for the Ice Punch, excuse me, knowing his last three things are all weak to ice. And lo and behold, I catch the Thundurus Incarnate on the way in and annihilate that thing before he really gets a chance to do anything with it, which is good news for me because I did not need that thing setting up and causing me any sort of problems. I really had nothing to lose from Ice Punching there, so maybe letting Rhydon go down would have been his smartest play, but I could see why he switched out. He knew he needed it for Zapdos, which at this point is going to kind of become moot. I Ice Punch the Serena, which is going to live, and unfortunately it does reveal Play Rough here, which is going to do Monokuma in. I was kind of hoping it didn't have it, but Monokuma's not going to be the kill hog this week, unfortunately. It got one kill, and it did, otherwise it did what I needed it to. Because from this point, I send in Archangel, I use Hidden Power Ice twice, and that's just going to be it right there. Violet the Serena is going to go down, and his Rhydon is going to follow suit after this bout of Life Orb damage. So, there's Mutter. Kind of like that nickname, actually. That's actually kind of cool. But, HP Ice, and there goes Rhydon, and that is going to be the game. So, a 2-0 start, and 2 straight 3-0 victories for my Columbus Swoo. So, great game, Liam. Do I feel happy with this victory? To be perfectly honest, I don't. Because in all honesty, I probably should have lost that game. Granted, had he just gone straight up for a Scald or an Ice Beam and killed my Landorus, as I said in my team builder, assuming he was timid and not modest, or if he was running some kind of more defensive nature with his Manaphy, I don't exactly know his spread as of the time I'm recording this, then there was a pretty good chance that with the Assault Vest, my Druddigon would have actually been able to live the Ice Beam, and as long as he didn't freeze me, I would have been able, after that Earthquake, to have killed it off. Would the outcome have been the exact same in that scenario? There's a possibility, considering I still had Pangoro and Zapdos left, and they are the two that kind of cleaned up from after the Manaphy went down. But I'm honestly going to be doubtful on that, because I would have had to sack Druddigon off at that point to ensure I could get one of them in safely, and unless he brought in the Salamence, then maybe it would have been the exact same scenario. But it's honestly hard to say how things would have went, in all honesty. So, I do not feel comfortable with this win just because of the fact that he heavily overpredicted with his Manaphy, and I had to take advantage of it because I needed to get that thing out of there if I wanted to have any hope of winning. I do see his logic behind it, though, but it is what it is. Regardless, that was still a great game, Liam, and I know you play me again later in the season because we're in the same division, so I think you're probably going to come at me next time knowing what to expect, and give me even bigger problems with Manaphy if I had to wager a guess. Regardless, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, so thank you guys so very much for watching. I have been Ruppy, and my Columbus Swoo, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.